Joining me on What Now from Belgium via Skype to discuss this is a Global Affairs Analyst, Nweke. Good to have you join us.
Thank you. Thank you, Precious, for having me.
So we see that the curfew that was placed by the military regime in Conakry, which is the capital, has now been relaxed. Does this mean that normalcy has returned to Conakry and just Guinea as a whole?
Far from that. There is no normalcy. As we speak, even though the insurgents, in terms of those that are loyal to the ousted president, are still having pockets of resistance here and there. They have, to some extent, to a very large extent, been contained. We also know that there is, a very serious disconnect between the position of the international community and the common man on the street of Conakry, who actually hailed this coup as, a welcome development. As a matter of fact, the leader of the opposition has actually, speaking out in positive terms, aligning with the coup plotters, while the international community, represented by the likes of ECOWAS, African Union, United Nations, and the big powers, United States, UK, and the rest of them, condemning the coup. So that raises the question as to how much they have lost touch with the happenings on the ground, and so on and so forth.
And that celebration we saw on the street that you just talked about, and the commendation coming from within the country, which is contradictory to the condemnation coming from international community, that commendation, does it then give legitimacy to the military regime to then go ahead and form an interim government?
It is fair to actually draw such a conclusion, but all said and done, military coup, should be a thing of the past. It cannot be justified anymore. In your intro, you talked about the fact that since 1950, there've been over, 200. Military takeover or attempt for the military to take over power in Africa. But we also know that in the past 10, 11 years, since 2010, that coup, military takeover of power, has become, less and less attractive in terms of the fact that in that period, about 38, coup attempts were made. The vast majority of them failed. Only 11 succeeded, but 11 is still too much. So return to democratic rule is inevitable, and that is the preferred option in the 21st century. But the fact remains that the current crop of African leaders appear to hand over good reasons to the military to step in the way that they have done. But whether those military could be trusted as patriots who are there to represent the general interest of the population, of course, it's a different kettle of fish and fire.
And I just jump in quickly, because is there ever a good reason for the military to interrupt a democratically elected government? People talk about Ghana as an example with the late Jerry Rawlings, but is that a good reason? And just as you answer that quickly because of time, we know that ECOWAS will have a meeting tomorrow just because of this. What can ECOWAS do to ensure, not just for Guinea, but other countries, because it does seem like it's becoming a trend, to ensure that we do not hear or report another story of a coup in another African country?
It is a dicey one. Generally speaking, I believe that military takeover of power can never be justified under any guise. Let us not forget, the violence that comes with it, the deaths, that comes with, such things. So dialogue has always got to be promoted, and then the international community that are now speaking out very, very loud. They should learn to speak louder. Earlier in the day, and letting things deteriorate before they step in. Now, in terms of the meeting that ECOWAS is having tomorrow, well, I believe that the essence of that meeting is to try and put those in charge now, the military in Guinea, under some sort of pressure to actually return to democratic rule as quickly as possible. But the body language coming from the military tells us that they are not in a hurry to do that. They have announced that, they are going to have 18 months renewable. They were very, very emphatic about the fact that the 18 months to return to civil rule and do all they need to do is renewable. So 18 months can very easily turn to 18 years if care is not taken. So ECOWAS will do everything they can to ensure that it is speedy and that it is swift. And that is part of the agenda tomorrow.
And we'll be waiting for developments from that meeting tomorrow, the ECOWAS meeting. Thank you so much for your analysis, Global Affairs Analyst Collins Nweke.
Thank you.